When it comes to any sort of relationship, all you need to do is send a mail via sisterislive@gmail.com and we will be reading. Okay, second letter, let's go. Good evening, sisters. I was dating this gentleman for almost 8 years, and I must say, we were simply joined at the hip. We loved each other and were the perfect couple goals. #couple goals. Coming from a home with a single mom, being with a man who loved and simply adored me was everything. Sisters, when it was time for us to settle, his family refused to bless our marriage, saying even though we were all Christians, we belonged to two distinct beliefs. I thought he would fight for our love. Instead, his parents got him a girl from his church, and they are married now. Sisters, my issue here is, this ex of mine says I'm the love of his life. What we shared was special, and honestly, I really do miss him. He wants us to have a relationship, and to be honest, I love him, and I'm willing to be in the relationship with him, but I'm confused, and I need help. Sisters. Sisho, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about this letter?
You know, if you asked me this question maybe a month ago, I know I would have answered it differently. But I've learned a lot to give grace to people. A lot of people. Today, one of my exes was telling me that not every man ends up with the love of his life. Sometimes even deliberately. Let's forget the parents for a moment. Sometimes even deliberately, men do not marry the love of their lives for so many reasons. Sometimes you truly love someone, but for reasons and for where you want to go in life, when you look at the person you are in love with, who is the love of your life, you know that person may not take you there. And so you make another decision. And he was saying, different men marry for different reasons. I won't sit on TV and say it any other way. It was more of a discussion where I was supposed to become a member of that particular church. And then we go ahead with the marriage proceedings. And at the time in my life, now looking back, a decision I should have just made. Because I mean, I still regret it to today. I didn't. So then, I mean, we spoke about it the relationship went on for 4 years, and then we broke up. Then 6 months into the breakup, he calls me out of the blue, and I said, and then I thought, okay, he's coming back. Because you know when you break up, you're like, he's gonna call me. I kept expecting the call never came, and then 6 months into the relationship, he calls me that, oh, he wants to have lunch. And then I was dressed up, excited, okay, he's gonna come and finally apologize and we are getting back together. I literally even called one of my close friends. So then we went to have lunch, and then he said he's getting married in 2 months.
Wow.
My face just dropped. And 2 months indeed he got married to this girl who, I don't know the true story. For him at the time, his religion was everything. And he wanted to be married to someone who was part of that religion. So of course, if you are not willing to be part of it, but you see, different times also presents different things to different people in their relationships. Now when you talk to him, he sounds different.
Frustrated.
Yes. And you can see that, you know, but then also now you're married, and I'm like, okay, how's that going?
Exactly.
You know? So let's cut him a slack, because I think we don't do that enough as women. Sometimes we need to go into or try to walk in another person's shoes for a minute to see what informs their decisions. See, if this man says this is why he can't be with you, and his parents are going to neglect him or for whatever reason, it's unfortunate. But then also, it doesn't stop the fact that you are the love of his life. There are two different things. For most men, the whole marriage institution and I love you are two different things. They will decide on that based on other things, not just the fact that I love you. And I think we women have to also, because we women are a lot more emotional when it comes to these things. Ah, but if you love me, why didn't you marry me? But for a man, he's thinking very logically. These are the people who have taken care of me up to this point. I need to respect them and, follow their path or whatever decision they are making for me. So if you find a man like that, then it's unfortunate. You may never really, even though you are the one he loves. And so it's sad, but she needs to find a way around these things. Mm-hmm. Again, I have always said this, and I will continue to say it. If we are promoting all other things that the world has come to promote, I do not see why we cannot promote polygamy. I do not see why polygamy is not being spoken about. It has been part of our culture, and if we will all be honest to ourselves, men are polygamous.
Now, talking about polygamy, what do you think about polyamorous relationship?
Which one is that exactly?
Polyamorous relationships, a relationship that, say you're the man and I'm the woman. Yes, we love each other, and then I love her, and then you love her, and then we have a relationship.
I think that's stretching it, but
no.
But honestly, I don't see anything wrong with a man who is married and tells his wife that I've seen someone else that I equally love and want to share a part of my life with her, and marries that person and brings that person home or gets another home. So he has two homes.
So you have a problem with a woman doing that?
Yes.
What if the woman has the money?
Well, in my own humble opinion, and I may be old-fashioned when it comes to that, personal opinion, I don't mind being a second wife so long as the man is capable financially to take care, and financially and emotionally to take care of both of us equally. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know when I'll start to see anything wrong with it. I think it is better that men have all their women under a roof where they can protect them, especially when kids come into the equation. A roof where the parents and the children are all one and together, and there is no animosity between anyone. That is my stance on the issue. So I think if the man is an open-minded person and it's worth considering, then these are things that he can consider, especially if maybe, hopefully, the parents are no more in the picture to influence his decision.
Okay, so I guess I'll come in here, and I think I'll talk about Citro's issue on polygamy. In life, you get into different situations, and it changes your ideology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like when you are younger, the way you think is different.
Yeah.
As you grow, your thought changes.
Yeah.
Like I always say never say never. I remember there was a time you say, oh me, I lie, I will never ever do this. Then you find yourself in a situation where you even do it without realizing that you are doing it. So there is never a never ever moment. Whenever it comes to that one I always say, so I never say me, this thing, I lie. Like, yes, we all have principles, but there are times that you get into a situation that it's a do or die affair. Like, you have to act, you have to do something, and you do things you don't even expect. A time will come that you find yourself in a situation where things you feel back again, you won't do, you do. Back to this issue. Whenever parents get themselves involved in relationships and stuff, I laugh in my head because I ask myself, what is your interest here? What is your problem? Is it that you don't trust how well you've trained your child, or you don't believe in the discipline or the principles you've instilled in them to make a right decision? Whenever parents get so much involved in relationships, their adult kids situation like that, I feel like it has nothing to do with the children. It has more to do with them, right? Because then it's like they are trying to right their wrongs through your actions, through manipulating your decisions to kind of affirm or give some affirmation that I did this right, or I have some sort of control over my life. When I have a relationship with someone and the mother or father is doing things, I'm like, you know what, you are just here for a while. That's what I tell myself. I take it easy. I won't say no. I rather start pressing the brakes slowly just to see how things pan, right? It allows you time to review your decision. So it's not a no matter. It's not a matter of, no, I'm not doing this. It's time for you to step back and say, okay, let me buy myself some more time. Sometimes it could be 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, a year or two. There's no rush in getting married. I said this a few weeks ago. Sometimes not being married can be a blessing.
Right.
Because people are getting themselves into wrong marriages, whether for societal pressure, whether for... Charlie, enjoy life. You will find this married thing is just some formality. But we also have to also respect how people feel or think, or what people like, how do you call it, aspirations.
Yeah.
Some people want to have kids.
True.
Fair enough. So that is when you start to have conversations with your partner, asking, why are we getting married? I feel most people never ask themselves that question. It's like a life cycle. You get there, you do it, we move.
Yeah.
So automatically, when you get to like 30, I need to
You
get
get
married.
married.
Done.
After married, you
After
have two
married, 1
kids.
year, you have to have children. Check, boom. Then what else? That's
Right.
when people start looking out. Because they've done all they have to do. But if you know why you are getting married, you will stay there because you want to reach that goal. And it becomes a mutual goal. Now back to the polygamy issue. If you feel you're a polygamous man, have that conversation with your wife. Or your wife to be, your girlfriend. Chip it in and see how she feels about it. Now there are lots of learned women out there, open-minded women. It gets hurtful when it comes afterwards.
Yeah.
You make me feel like, oh, I'm your one and only madam for the house, Then we get there now, I'll call you in another woman's house. Please let me know that you'll be going to another woman's house before I get myself into that relationship. Then I can decide whether I want to be there or not. As a Christian, I don't want to be in such relationships. So I'll tell you, some other, okay, I ain't doing this. I can also decide, okay, let's do it. I'm also going to go out. Is
Yeah.
that
Sometimes a man does not know himself because he doesn't have money. Believe you me, there are so many
No,
They
I
know
don't think
themselves, so
that's an excuse.
they know.
people evolve also.
No, you
No.
know,
There's so many.
I think
There's so many
I
men
think
who
I
are-
would
who are
side
good
with
today
Sicho
because
for this
they are
one, because a lot
or
of
they are not that.
I've seen
really
a
financially
situation whereby someone told me openly, because I married my wife because I don't get money that time now. I don't get money that time, but now where I get money,
Yeah.
I feel look outside.
Yeah.
It's
You
like
know,
the
but
time
you
of
see,
husband.
you
Let me
see,
tell you
hold
my
on.
choice.
No,
But
that's-
the
no,
difference
that's-
here is that this person has always
What's
been
been-
polygamous. He just didn't have money to fund his activity.
But that's
Yes,
what
but he
she's
also
saying.
didn't
Hold
tell
on.
his wife.
Hold on. But the ideology has always been there. So what Felicia is saying is that once you know that as a person,
What
that
do you
ideology is something that may be attractive to you, whoever you are dating, whether it is by joke, whether it's by serious conversation, let the person know that, oh, Charlie, like the way you just said right
I
now,
think
I don't
personally
have
it
a
should be part of our
problem.
conversation.
I don't have a problem with polygamy.
But-
I don't see anything wrong. You can just say, also, I don't see anything wrong with polygamy.
Mm.
I mean, if I had money and I had my own way, I'm sure I'd want two of you to
Yeah.
be with.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. Let the girl make a decision
listen.
from there. But when you sort of like get that, like, you know, put that person in a situation where the other party feels it is a one-on-one affair, and then along the line, when they are not ready, you decide to change your mind, you decide the time is right, you decide I now have money, so I have solely decided that I want a polygamous.
It's not a sole
Then it
decision.
becomes back to the
Yes.
story.
Yeah, no, but you see, back to what you're saying, before we go to the story, I understand what Sisho is saying. People evolve. We have different interests every 5 years,
Yeah.
every 10 years. I don't want what I wanted yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't want the kind of man I was with yesterday if I'm not married with you. I'm just looking at you like, what? I was with you? No, I want something
Yeah.
bigger. So that's how the mind works sometimes.
So this polygamous issue would come back in again. But back to the story, my thing is that, look, as parents, when we give birth to children, we can't decide what our child or what our children should be.
Yeah.
All we can do is guide them.
Yeah.
But our children are not possessions. Our children are not properties. We are just vessels that were used to bring them forth into this world. So I think that on a certain level, parents should get used to their children being their own people and stop putting their children into a straitjacket. Now, my son is young. He's 6. He's now going on like young. But when it comes to their extracurricular activities in school, for instance, we ask him, what do you want to do? Danica, these are the activities. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
The very first time, we chose it for them and pushed it down their throat. But we realized that, look, we need to, we need to ask them. They need to start making choices for
decisions,
themselves. And when you allow a child to make a choice for themselves, they're able to live with the consequences thereof. Now, moving on to religion. Now, religion is not science. Religion is based on faith.
Yeah.
And because faith is one of the most intangible things apart from air, it's very difficult to shift people when it comes to religion. Religion is enshrined in you from childbirth.
Yeah.
You grow up, even your name is based on your religion. Why you school sometimes is based on your religion. The people, your childhood friends, like it's enshrined in you, so you grow up and that's all you know. And sometimes some of the hardcore religious sects, we have the Christians, some of them they cross up and down, there's no big deal. But there are some, their beliefs, because of one verse, is so different. Just because of one verse or one interpretation of some paragraph in the Bible, they practice a whole different belief.
Yeah.
So we have those who go to church on Saturdays and those who go to church on Sundays. So if you have a family, what day is church?
Yeah. Yeah.
It becomes wahala.
Issue.
So would the children decide, I want to go to church with mommy on Saturday or daddy on Sunday? It brings discourse.
And we have the ones that don't even take
Then
medicine.
we have the ones that say, I don't take blood. This one is open to scientific research. Now child is dying. This one says take. This one says don't take. What happens? So sometimes because of those hardcore beliefs, some of these churches, they prefer that you are married to somebody who understands the unique nature of their religion, so that in future you don't have some of these lapses.
Yeah.
So I can understand their parents' desire to want them to be together. However, you see, I had a very good friend who is Christian. Who was Muslim, and in her case was getting married to a Christian who is an elder in a church.
Wow.
Look, the lady's father, Lai, who born dog. But you see, because they were true to their love, they were true to their love, and it is love that grew up, and they did it for a long time. They faced setbacks from all fronts. The father saying, no, my daughter will never become a Christian. The man to say, like, it was so turbulent. At some point, the man, the prospective father-in-law, didn't even want to see the son, the prospective son-in-law. Now, at some point, now, the closest buddy to the girl's father was now the son-in-law.
The man, yeah.
Because he began to see substance in that man.
Yeah.
And I'm sure his daughter had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
When you're in a situation where your parents, you see, don't like your partner, and you're not able to bring your parents to the point to see what you see in this partner, then you're not matured enough for the marriage.
Yeah, true.
I think I've said this so many
You
times.
see, if you love something, because you see, I keep saying that marriage is not a joke. If you want to get married, it might as well be your choice. And when something is your choice, even when you don't like it, you wait.
Yeah.
Look, how many of us have decided to do something, buy an outfit? Everybody says this outfit is not nice. But because you bought it against all odds, you wait to prove to the whole world that it's me who chose that dress.
And you muscle through it.
And you muscle through it because there's a reason why you decided by yourself as an individual to be involved with this person. So if you as a man cannot let your parents see what you are seeing,
It's a problem.
it's a problem. Or two, if you cannot bring your girlfriend to the point where you discuss, because they've been married dating for about 8 years. So
And this never came up.
the religion thing, if you know, if you come from a family that they are staunch, you don't need a marriage time for things to be revealed. There should be that point where you go like, look, listen, in order for us to get married and seal our love, my parents are going to have pushback. So would you start coming to our church small? You, after the marriage is over, we can decide what to do. Or maybe when you start coming to church, you actually love our doctrines and you may actually decide to stay. There are so many ways of going around it. But you see, they were dating for 8 years. They were doing everything but discussing the important stuff that will allow them to get married. Now my last point is that actions have consequences. Especially actions that have to do with another human being. They all have consequences. If you decided, and I'm using this word waste carefully because I know both of them were in it together, but however, if you decided to waste somebody's life for 8 years, somebody who was looking forward to marry you for 8 years and couldn't do it on the basis of a technicality, and you moved on to marry somebody else, there should be consequences for that action. And that consequence is that you don't eat your vomit. Stay where you decided. Because whether we like it or not, our rear, you say, a share obana in your.
Thank you.
So you've gone to publicly declare your love to somebody else. Done the befitting, married her properly, giving her a sense of security. Legally, after the marriage, if tomorrow you die, she's entitled to
everything,
your possessions and everything. And yet your heart is with somebody else. For you to take that decision, live with the consequences and do away with this one.
Yes.
Now the girl, my question is that it's easy when you meet a married man and you decide to have a polygamous relationship with a married man. You are coming to meet the guy married. But when you were there for 8 years and the guy left you to go and marry somebody else, me as a woman, I will never under the planet have any form of relationship to do with you. It's not because I don't love you. It's not because I don't want you. But whatever love I thought you had for me was not worth fighting for. Was not worth, doing things. Because listen, I've seen relationships work through fire, and we all know one story or another. But my thing is that if I was looking for mine from you, if I was also doing a casual thing, and that's different, it's just continuing, we are just continuing. But if I'm somebody who actually wanted to build a life with you, because look, Charlie, believe it or not, when we are all dating, unless you don't like the person, if you like the person, you dream of life together, you dream of your kids running around, you dream of properties, working together, you dream of so many things. So if this man has taken that dream away from you, why are you still giving him the one thing that he doesn't have at the expense of everything that you really want?
All right, sisters, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciated, all the efforts, trying to help this lady navigate through her problem. And I'm sure she's listening. I hope she's listening. And definitely, like you said in the when we're discussing the first story, pick out whatever works for you. But you know what? We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, I will be sharing my final thoughts. Welcome back, sisters. If you're just joining us, this is Sister right here on City TV, and if you're listening, it's 97.3 FM. All right, so we have gone through 2 letters, and my sisters actually helped me break these problems down. We actually break the problem down, and then they share their advices on what they really thought of each and every story that came with each letter. All right, so I am going to share my final thoughts, okay? And I'm going to start with the first story, and the first story being the story of a lady called Akua, a very beautiful lady called Akua, in love with a man that she went to the extent of visiting a love doctor or a witch doctor who warned her about the consequences of what she was going to do, but she didn't listen and still went ahead to do whatever. And then when the mirror broke, and the mirror was, whatever that was holding their love together, when the mirror broke, eventually, the guy eyed cleared and everything. All right, so what I think in this whole thing is that, first of all, the negative impacts of the story, she manipulated his love because it was not natural, and you do not manipulate love. There's always a consequence to that, which the witch doctor told you about, but you still went ahead to do whatever that you wanted. And at the end of the day, trust was broken. And the trust being you tie him up with some juju somewhere. But funny enough, ironically, when you look at the whole thing, trust also broke when the mirror broke. So yeah, the mirror was like a sign of trust. And trust is very, very important when it comes to marriage. So Akua, my advice for you right now is communicate with Kwame. Kwame's eye has cleared, and now he knows that, what he's asking, basically asking himself, what am I doing with this woman? Who is this woman? And questions like that. The good thing you should be thanking God for is Kwame is a gentleman, because you never talked of him beating you up and something like that. Because imagine waking up to a total stranger. Even you would fight that stranger. But for him not to fight you and it's just being quiet and living his life but still want to go ahead with a divorce, I think you should be thanking your stars. Communicate with him, let him know why you did that, and apologize to him. You took someone's child somewhere to tie him up. So it's important that you confess at this point and apologize to him. And then next time you should be reflecting on your actions, and know that your actions are very negative. When you sit down with yourself, think and ask yourself, how would I feel if someone did that to me? If the reverse was the case, if it was Kwame instead that tied you up, how would you feel? So you really need to think about that. That's after having that communication with him. And obviously, thinking about that will make you realize that what you did was wrong. So you can also have time to forgive yourself and forgive your auntie for even, taking you through that route. I don't want to blame your auntie so much, and I also don't want to blame you too hard, because maybe that could have been the kind of environment that you grew up in. Some of those things are normal to you. But when it comes to life, you can never manipulate love. You can never tie someone down with some spiritual form just because you like the person. It has to be mutual. There are consequences to these things. And you didn't listen when the witch doctor told you that. So now you are left to deal with your problems. And lastly, respect his decision. If he doesn't want you, just let him go. He has every right to say, okay, I want this to be over. So that is why I need you to go back and communicate with him. Explain yourself. It's wrong. And then say you're sorry. So he can also find, somewhere in his heart to forgive you while he moves on with his life. And after all this is done, Ekia, please, when you go out there after Kwame, let things happen naturally. When things happen naturally, you are more at peace. Reflect on what you did so you wouldn't repeat it again, all right? And thank you so much for trusting us to go through your letter. And heading to the second story about, lady dating a guy for 8 years and, thinking marriage was going to happen between him. And at the end of the day, because of their differences in religion, guy, gets to date or marry someone else and then comes back and say, well, I still want to marry you. These things happen a lot, and all I can say is there should be a sort of communication. Understand where he's coming from. If you ask me, I wouldn't even say you should communicate much, but what is more important for you is to really ask yourself, evaluate your past, and ask yourself, am I really, levitating to him, gravitating to him just because of the feelings we had in the past, or I really do love him, or maybe it's loneliness. It could actually be loneliness. When you've been with someone for long, you think that's all to life. You understand? So I just feel like you should really, think about it. Don't go rushing. And if you don't want to be a second choice girl, then don't do it. There are how many? We're almost 8 billion people right now in the world. So that means there's so many fishes in the ocean that you can still make way for, all right? So that's all I can say. Just take your time and think about it well. And while you're thinking about it, ask yourselves the question, is it really love? Is it loneliness? Is it because I've been with you for 8 years? Is it, the fact that I don't want to start again? There's really nothing wrong in starting again. If he didn't choose you over whoever he's with, or if he didn't choose you, or he didn't fight for you. We've heard stories of love. Even Romeo and Juliet now. Even Romeo died. So why can't someone die for you too? I'm just saying. I'm not saying he should die, but even Romeo died. So why can't someone die for you? You don't have two heads. Juliet has one head, so you two, someone can die for you too. Anyway, I hope you really understood what I'm saying, but Thank you so much too for sending in your letter. I really appreciate you trusting us to do this. But the sister said a lot and I've said a lot too. So pick out what works for you, but do not rush while making your decisions, all right? And viewers, I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you are out there and also want us to help you navigate your relationships, all you need to do is send us a mail via sistersisterislivegmail.com. My name is Chris Carter, and this has been Sister Sister. See you next week.